Charare Manasa Sanjarare Brahmani Manasa Sanjarare Brahmani Manasa Sanjarare Manasa Sanjarare Madasiki pincha kradasi kore Madasiki pincha alankradasi kore Madasiki pincha alankradasi kore Magania kapola vijida bukure Magania Kapula Vijita Mugure Magania Kapula Vijita Mugure Manasa Sanjarare Manasa Sanjarare Sriramani Kucha Durga Vihare Sriramani Kucha Durga Vihare Sriramani Kucha Durga Vihare Sevaha Jana Mandira Mandare Sevaha Jana Mandira Mandare Sevaka Jana Mandira Mandari Manasa Sanjarare Manasa Sanjarare Manasa Sanjarare Paramahamsa Muga Chandra Chakore Paramahamsa Muga Chandra Chakore Paramahamsa Muga Chandra Chakore Paripurita Murali Ravadari Paripurita Murali Ravadari Paripurita Muraliravadari Manasa Sanjarare Manasa Sanjarare Brahmani Manasa Sanjarare Manasa Sanjarare Hare Krishna. Translation. O might, hover around, dwell Brahmani upon the Supreme Being, upon Krishna whose tresses are adorned with the feathers of a proud peacock, upon the one whose glorious cheeks surpass a mirror in beauty smoothness, upon the one who sports in the court that is the bosom of his beloved Sri Goddess Lakshmi, upon the one who is verifying this fulfilling celestial Mandara tree at the home of his devotees, upon the one like a chakora bird to the moonlight, faces of enlightened souls, upon the one who is full of the stream of music from the flute. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, so nice, Prabhuji. Very Krishna, Hare Krishna, very nice. Thank you so much. All right, so we will begin our class for the day. Hare Krishna, everyone. So, okay, can someone tell me what is the name of the chapter we're reading now? Hare Krishna.
Indian village.
Hari Bol Mataji. Yeah. So this is chapter 4, right? Chapter 4 in every town
Yes.
and village. Very
Mataji,
nice.
did we do Mangalacharan?
Oh yeah. Mangalacharan has to be done. Yeah. Sorry, I started with the recap directly. Okay, so would anyone like to do Mangalacharan?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. You can do Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. I'll do the short one. Hare
Sure.
Krishna.
Hare
All
Krishna.
glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Adhyana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bodhane Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namina. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे कृष्णा थैंक यू माधुरी
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. It was a very short version. Thank you so much. Yeah, you can sing the detailed one also next time. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji. So let's begin our class. So we were discussing chapter 4, which is in every town and village, right? So what anyone remembers what we covered in the last class? Hare Krishna. So what were we talking about? Where is Srila Prabhupada and which location is he?
Mr. John and Yoko's place, Mataji. And it was more of a conversation between George and Srila Prabhupada about his convictions. And then, yeah. And George was saying the one thing that he liked in Prabhupada is he never wanted him to stop what he was doing, but rather see in everything that he does, he should see Krishna. So that is one thing that he loved in Prabhupada, that he was not forcing anything.
Very nice, Mataji. Haribol. Okay. So yeah, George, we were discussing about the conversations with George. So what were some of the incidents which happened with George? Why he liked Prabhupada very much? Like Lakshmi Mataji, one was Prabhupada was not forcing anything. What else was happening? Hare Krishna. Muthumanikam Prabhuji, Ekambar Prabhuji, you remember what we read in the last class?
Accepting Hare Krishna mantra, Krishna consciousness with the jar.
With whom, Prabhuji? Sorry, your voice is not clear for me.
Hare Krishna Mahamantra and the Hare Krishna consciousness regarding George and Srila Prabhupada.
Yes, very nice. So, what exactly happened? Uh, how did George contribute in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra?
George contributed with music, making album with Beatles.
Yes, he made a successful. So he made an album, and what? How was it received?
And initially
Was
70,000 copies sold, and the
very
reception was very wonderful.
Haribol.
And due to that, the sales rise.
Yeah, right. Very nice. Yeah, Lakshmi Mataji, you wanted to add anything?
Mataji, Prabhupada was saying he's a nice young boy and very intelligent. And though Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said we shouldn't be keeping touch with worldly minded people, but Prabhupada said, like, if he is of very helpful and beneficial for Krishna conscious propagation, then why not? Devotees must certainly take association. And also George liked to chant, and you always does Hare Krishna mantra in his albums. Yeah.
Very nice. Very
So it
nice.
was
And
very good.
how about John and his wife? Like, how did they feel about this?
John was also very interested. With his piano, he was doing every tone and musical tone in Hare Krishna. But then his wife was saying, "What are you doing here? Come upstairs!" And she pulled him away. But he wanted Prabhupada and his devotees always to be there. And he said, "I will give everything that I have for Krishna conscious movement, and everything is yours." But then later Prabhupada and devotees departed from there to the next place.
Very nice. Very nice.
Mataji, John's friend advised John Lennon not to please keep distance from the Swami and I guess devotees,
Okay.
so that he is John not involving much with Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Okay. Very nice. Okay. And how about, so we were talking a lot about George, right? So what was Prabhupada's perception about, or what was his thoughts about George? What does Srila Prabhupada think about George? We described that as well, right? We read it. Anyone remembers?
But Prabhupada advised his devotees, we should not depend on him initially itself regarding
Yeah.
Jat.
That was before coming in. Yes, he had written that. Definitely, Prabhuji. That was in the previous class. We concluded with that. You're right.
Could you repeat,
But
Mataji?
so after he
Was
met George, what was the what did Srila Prabhupada say about George? What was his feelings about George?
he sent by Krishna, Krishna's man?
Yeah, very nice. So we read also, right? Prabhupada saw George as a nice young boy and a devotee of Krishna, right? And he is also said that George appears to be a very intelligent boy, and he is by the grace of Krishna fortunate also, right? He told that, and in fact, one of the places we also read that George was like a rich man, right? Prabhupada also saw George as a rich man, and Lord Chaitanya had strictly instructed devotees in uh, renunciation to not mix with worldly men. But he also says that Lord Chaitanya also taught that devotees should accept any favorable opportunity for propagating Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada had said, if George cooperates for this movement, it will be a nice thing for us, right? Because he is a rich person, he has a lot of money. So if it can be used for spiritual seva, to do preaching and other things, then it will be great. Is that can be accepted? Is what anything in favor of Krishna consciousness can definitely be accepted, right? So that was one thing he definitely mentioned. Um, then anything else? What else did we cover? Hare Krishna. That's all. Okay, we left 1 day break, so I think all of you kind of forgot. Okay, I'll quickly share my screen. We'll continue. So we concluded with this, right? Page 171. So see, this is what we read in the last class. So here we discussed about Yeah, John, about George. And see, George also says about Prabhupada, right? He says, Prabhupada just looked like I thought he would. I had a mixed feeling of fear and awe about meeting him. That's what I liked about later on after meeting him more. I felt that he was just more like a friend, right? So this is how he has described Prabhupada. He says, I felt relaxed. It was much better than at first because I hadn't been able to tell what he was saying, and I wasn't sure if I was too worldly to even be there. But later I relaxed and felt much more at ease with him, and he was very warm towards me. He wouldn't talk differently to me than to anybody else. He was always just speaking about Krishna, and it was coincidental who happened to be there. Whenever you saw him, he would always be the same. It wasn't like one time he would tell you to chant the Hare Krishna mantra and next time say, oh no, I made a mistake. He was always the same, right? See, these are very beautiful words when he describes his, moments, which his all his thoughts about Srila Prabhupada, how it really made him feel, right? And he also says, seeing him was always a pleasure. Sometimes I would drop by thinking I wasn't planning to go, but I better go because I ought to. And I would always come away just feeling so good. So I was conscious that he was taking a personal interest in me. It was always a pleasure. See how beautifully he's told about Srila Prabhupada. Right? So that's the kind of impression Srila Prabhupada has left for George. So then also he says, Prabhupada helped me to realize the multifaceted way to approach Krishna. Like the prasadam, for example, I think it is a very important. He also talks about prasadam, right? I I think it's a very important thing. Prasadam, even if it's only a trick, like they say, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Well, even if it's a way to a man's spirit soul, it works. Because there's nothing better than having been dancing and singing or just sitting and talking, and then suddenly they give you some food. It's like it's a blessing. And then when you learn to touch him or taste him, it's important. Krishna is not limited. And just by Prabhupada's being there and pouring out all this information, I was moved. It's like the mind is stubborn, but it's all Krishna. That's all you need to know. It's all Krishna. See, so beautifully he said, it's all Krishna. This world is his material energy too, the universal form. And in Prabhupada's books, there are these pictures showing Krishna in the heart of a dog and a cow and a human being. It helps you to realize that Krishna is within everybody. Although Prabhupada might have been teaching some higher aspect, what came through to me a lot was a greater understanding of how Krishna is everywhere and in everything. Prabhupada explained about the different aspects of Krishna, and he provided a meditation where you could see Krishna as a person everywhere. I mean, isn't anything that isn't Krishna. See how beautiful, right? These verses, if you read these words, it clearly demonstrates what a kind of devotee George has been, right? What kind of impact Srila Prabhupada had left in the heart of George. At the same time, what a kind of ardent devotee he's been, and he's got the essence of it so well. How beautifully he said, it's all Krishna, right? That's the most simplified way in which someone could even describe the crux of everything. He's described it so beautifully. So I kind of personally liked these words really well. It kind of pierced heart and it set straight on the face, right? Yeah, this is a very simple thing. If you understand this much, it is enough. You need not understand the Sanskrit verses or the complicated things behind, but the essence and crux of all of it is it's all Krishna everywhere and in everything. That's all. So beautifully described. So these are some things we read, and then we also, so Prabhupada also says, right, Mr. George Harrison appears to be a very intelligent boy, and he is, by the grace of Krishna, fortunate also. On the first day he came to see me along with John Lennon. We had talks for about 2 hours in the first meet itself, right? And he wanted to talk with me more, but he has now gone to his sick mother in Liverpool. And all this also we discussed. So he also says how Prabhupada was a simple person, how he made things so good for him. See, he kind of says Prabhupada never really suggested that I shouldn't do what I was doing. I heard that at different times he would say to the devotees that I was a better devotee because of my songs and the other things I was doing. He never actually said that to me, but I always heard that. And the good thing for me was that I didn't have a feeling that I needed to join full time. I think it would have spoiled it if he had always been on at me, saying, "Why don't you pack and doing what you're doing and go live in a temple somewhere?" He never made me feel any different. Like I wasn't quiet in the club. He was never like that. I'm a plain clothes devotee. It's like that. I saw my relationship that I should help when and where I could because I know people in society. It's like any half decent person. You just try and help each other a little bit. He was always pleased with me because anything I did was a help. I mean, not just to the Krishna temple as such, but just to anything spiritual that I did, either through songs or whatever it pleased him. He was just always friendly. He was always chanting. And at times he said that to me just to keep chanting all the time or as much as possible. I think once you do that, you realize that chanting is of benefit. And he also says there are some gurus who go around making that they are it. But Prabhupada was saying, I am the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. See, such a beautiful line, right? Beautiful lines from George. And the servant of the Krishna, which is really what it is, He wasn't saying, I am the greatest and I am God and all that. With him, it was only in the context of being a servant. And I like that a lot. I think it's part of the spiritual thing. The more they know, then the more they actually know that they are the servant. And the less they know, the more they think they're actually God's gift to mankind. So, although he was obviously a very powerful individual, very spiritually advanced, he retained that humbleness. And I think that is one of the most important things because you learn more than all the words he says, you learn really from the example of how he lives and what he does, right? So he kind of summarized it so very beautifully. So just wanted to share this with all of you and do a quick recap before we begin today's class. Hare Krishna, anything anyone would like to share, anything that inspired you? Yes, Mutmanikam Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. You
Should I
wanted to say
start?
something?
Not Mataji. Should I start reading?
Yes, Prabhuji, we will start. Just a minute. I was just asking as to about what we discussed so far, right? The lines. Yes, Lakshmi Mataji, you wanted to say something? Hare Krishna.
No, Mataji, to read.
Okay, nice. I think all of you are very interested to read, so let's start reading. Okay, so we will have to start from even though this one, so we will start. So, so Lakshmi Mataji can start and then Muthumanikam Prabhuji you can continue. Yeah, over to you, Lakshmi Mataji. Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Even though Prabhupada's quarters were incomplete and temple renovation made Seven Bari Place noisy and hectic, Prabhupada decided to move in. I am not attached to a comfortable apartment, he said. My attachment is to living in the association of devotees. He was moving into the temple at a time when the record sales were low and the devotees were having to purchase supplies piecemeal whenever they got money. Yet, with Prabhupada living with them and supervising their work, they were satisfied. One day, Mr. Doyle phoned, representing a large London Hindu society. He had heard the devotees wanted Radha Krishna deities and he had a pair he would donate. When Prabhupada heard the news, he sent Tamal, Krishna, Mukunda, and Shyamasundara to Mr. Doyle's home to see the deities. Radha and Krishna were white marble and stood about 3 feet high. Never before had the devotees seen such large deities, and they offered obeisances. When they returned to the temple and told Prabhupada, he said, "Take me there at once." Srila Prabhupada, accompanied by Shyamasundara, Mukunda, and Tamala Krishna, arrived by van at Mr. Doyle's home. Prabhupada entered the living room and sat down. The deities, covered by a cloth, stood on a table in the corner. Tamal Krishna was about to unveil them when Prabhupada checked him. No, that's all right. Prabhupada sat and spoke with Mr. Doyle, asking him about his work and where he had come from in India, and he met Mr. Doyle's family. Prabhupada and his host chatted while the devotees listened. Swamiji, Mr. Doyle said at length, I want to show you my deities. Yes, Prabhupada replied, I will see them after some time. Prabhupada began to speak about his Krishna consciousness mission, and after a while, Mr. Doyle again requested, Please take a look at these deities. And with that, he walked over and unveiled Radha and Krishna. Oh, yes, Prabhupada said, folding his hands respectfully. Mr. Doyle explained that he had ordered the deities from India for his own use, but in transit, a tiny piece of Radharani's finger had chipped off. Therefore, according to Hindu tradition, the deities could not be installed. Tamal Krishna, Prabhupada said, see how heavy these deities are. Tamal Krishna placed one hand at Radharani's base and the other around her shoulder, lifted her. Not so heavy, he said. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranams.
Thank you so much, Dhanwad Pranams. Muthumanikam Prabhuji, you can continue, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. And anyone who is interested to read, please raise your hands. Yeah,
Hare
Muthumanikam.
Krishna Mataji, please scroll down. Shamsundara, Prabhupada said, see how heavy is Krishna. The deities were actually heavy for one man to carry, but the devotees understand Prabhupada's intentions. Not bad, Shamsundara said, holding Krishna a few inches off the table. Yes, Prabhupada said conclusively, I think they are all right. Let us take them. We have our van. And suddenly Prabhupada was leaving with his disciples following, carefully carrying Radha and Krishna. Prabhupada thanked Mr. Doyle. But Swamiji, protested Mr. Doyle, who was not prepared for his sudden exit. Please, we will arrange to bring them. Our society will bring them. But Prabhupada was already out the door and leading his men to the van. Please wait, Mr. Doyle persisted. We have to fix them first, then you can take them. We have two expert men, Prabhupada said. He can fix these things, Prabhupada was assuring Mr. Doyle and at the same time directing his disciples. He opened the door of the van and Shamsundara and Tamala Krishna slowly entered, cautiously setting Radha and Krishna within. Tamala Krishna knelt in the back to hold the deities secure while Shamsundara got into the driver's seat. Now drive, Prabhupada said, and up they went, with Prabhupada smiling from the window to Mr. Doyle and his family who stood together on the curb. Shamsundara had driven but a few blocks when Prabhupada asked him to stop the van. Turning around in his seat, Prabhupada began offering prayers. Govindam Adipurusam Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusam Tamaham Bhajami. He looked long at Krishna, who was white with a slight bluish cast, and at the exquisite white Radharani by his side. Krishna is so kind, he said. He has come like this. Then he had Shamsundara continue driving slowly back to the temple. Carefully, Prabhupada surprised his disciples carrying the deities up to the second floor. The deities were astounded, delighted to see Prabhupada in such an animated and intense state. bring Radha and Krishna into their temple, he had the deities placed in a curtained off section of his own room, and then he sat at his desk. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvat pranams. Thank you so much. Ganeshan Prabhuji, you can continue, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Am I clearly audible?
Yes, Prabhuji, you are. You can continue, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shyamasundara had completed most of the altar except for Lord Jagannath's altar and the canopy over Radha and Krishna throne. Both the canopy and Lord Jagannath's altar would be supported by 4 heavy wooden columns more than 6 feet high. 2 rear columns would hold a marble slab for the Jagannatha deities to stand on, and 2 front columns were now supporting Radha and Krishna's large velvet canopy. The columns were big and heavy. Shyamasundara called them elephant leg columns. The columns now stood in place of the altar. Although Shyamasundara hadn't had a chance to secure them, the columns now stood in the place of the altar, although Shyamasundara hadn't had a chance to secure them. The day before the installation, Shyamasundara collapsed upstairs in exhaustion. On opening day, many guests, Indians especially, crowded the temple, responding to flyers and advertisements. Apple Records had supplied a professional florist who had decorated the room with floral arrangements. A BBC television crew was on hand to videotape the ceremony. While most of the devotees held Kirtana, Prabhupada behind a curtain at the other end of the temple bathed Radha and Krishna. The plan was that after the bathing ceremony, the deities would be placed on the altar and Yamuna would dress them. Once they were dressed and enthroned, the curtain would open for all guests to behold Sri, Radha and Krishna. Prabhupada would lecture and then everyone would feast. But because of Shyamasundara's oversight, the installation almost became a disaster. Prabhupada had finished bathing the deities and they had been placed on the marble altar when suddenly the elephant leg columns tottered. The canopy above the deities began to collapse. Prabhupada, seeing the danger, jumped onto the altar and seized the heavy columns in a split second. With great strength, he held the 2 front pillars in place. Get this out of here, he shouted. While Prabhupada's arms protected the deities, the man removed the canopy and then 2 men at a time carried each of the pillars away. The deities remained unharmed. While Prabhupada was being behind the curtain rescuing Radha and Krishna on the other side of the curtain, guests and reporters awaited the unveiling of the deities. Unaware of the mishap, the guests saw only men emerging from behind the curtain, carrying large pillars and a canopy. The BBC camera crew began filming the canopy and the pillars as they appeared from behind the curtain, taking them to be a part of ceremonial procession. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Anyone else would like to read? Ekambar Prabhuji, would you like to read?
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, yeah.
The few devotees behind the curtain with Prabhupada were amazed, but there was no time now for apologies or appreciation. Yamuna addressed the deities, Prabhupada hurrying her. When at last everything was ready, Prabhupada opened the main curtain, revealing the graceful forms of Lord Krishna and Radharani to the temple full of saffron chadar and a garland of carnations stood to one side. eventually looking upon Radha and Krishna as their worshipper and protector. This was the culmination of months of effort. Actually, years of planning and preceded with this auspicious occasion. 100 years before, Bhaktivinoda Thakur had hoped for the day when Krishna consciousness would come to England. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had also decided. Now that an authorized temple of Radha and Krishna was preaching Krishna consciousness in London, it was a historic occasion for Gaudiya Vaishnavism. A long-standing order of the previous acharyas had been fulfilled. Prabhupada had sent invitations to several of his God brothers in India. None of them had been able to come, of course, but at least they should have been pleased to learn that this dream of Srila Bhaktivedanta Siddhanta Swami's Saraswati's had been fulfilled. Prabhupada was 73. He had now opened 21 temples in 3 years. Recently, he had told some of his disciples that they should try to form a governing body of ISKCON to relieve him of the management and allow him to concentrate fully on presenting Krishna consciousness literature. The literature could be introduced all over the world into homes, schools, and colleges for the benefit of everyone. It would be such literature that he would live on. How much time he had left in this world he didn't know. He said, but he wanted to go on serving and trying to please his Guru Maharaj life after life. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, should I read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Just a minute, Prabhuji. Pushpa Mataji is also there. Pushpa Mataji, would you like to read? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Pushpa Mataji. Okay, Krishna Das Prabhuji, would you like to read? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, would you like to read?
Yes, Mataji, from which line Mataji Prabhupada was?
From nevertheless, from this one.
Hare Krishna. Nevertheless, despite Prabhupada's desire to retire from active work and absorb himself in writing books, here he was installing deities in a new temple and protecting them from his disciples' carelessness. Had he not been present, the celebration would have been a disaster. So many hardworking disciples, and they still needed his personal guidance. ISKCON was just beginning to grow. Prabhupada wanted to open not just a few temples, but at least 108. His world traveling and book printing was just beginning. And like everything else, the number of disciples would increase. The prestige of his movement would increase, and with it opposition from the atheists. Krishna consciousness was growing and Prabhupada was in the forefront. All around I see bright, he said. That is the glory of Krishna. He saw himself as a servant of his spiritual master. The bright future was in Krishna's hands. On the day of Prabhupada's departure from London, he distributed some of his personal effects, such as sweaters and scarves, to his disciples. He then went downstairs alone into the temple to see the deities. He offered fully prostrated obeisances on the floor for a long time and then stood, looking at Radha and Krishna. Yamuna. Prabhupada was looking at the deities with complete devotion. He loved those deities. He commented about their exquisite beauty. He commented about exquisite beauty and how they complemented each other. How sometimes Radharani looked more beautiful, but how Krishna moon-like face and eyes were shining. Prabhupada saw me and matter-of-factly said, If you practice what I have taught you and follow the instructions of how I have taught you to worship the deity, and if you read the books that we have printed, it is sufficient for you to go back to Godhead. You need not learn anything new. Simply practice what I have taught you, and your life will be perfect. Then he left, just left. After London, Srila Prabhupada returned to America, where he spent some 7 months at his US centers, especially Los Angeles. During late July in Los Angeles, he revealed his plans for establishing a governing body commission to manage ISKCON. To this end, he, dedi- he dedicated he dictated the following on July 20th, 1970. I, the undersigned A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, disciple of Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa 1, Ashtosttara Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada, came in the United States in 1965 on September 18th for the purpose of starting Krishna conscious movement. For 1 year, I had no shelter. I was traveling in many parts of this country. Then in 1966 July, I incorporated this society under the name and style, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, briefly ISKCON. Gradually, the society increased and one after another branches were opened. Now we have got 34 branches enlisted herewith. As we have increased our volume of activities, now I think a governing body commissioning, herein after referred to as a GBC, should be established. I am getting old, 75-year-olds. Therefore, at any time I may be out of the scene. Therefore, I think it is necessary to give instruction to my disciples how they shall manage the whole institution. They are already managing individual centers represented by one president, one secretary, and one treasurer. And in my opinion, they are doing nice. But we want still more improvement in the standard of temple management, propaganda for Krishna consciousness, distribution of books and literature, opening of new centers, and education and educating devotees to the right standard. Prabhupada then listed the names of the 12 persons who would form the GBC, and he noted, these personalities are now considered as my direct representatives. While I am living, they will act as my general secretaries, and after my demise, they will be known as executors. The next day, Prabhupada drafted another significant statement, naming several of his disciples as trustee of this Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. The Bhaktivedanta Book Trust account will be used to publish my books and literature and to establish temples throughout the world. Specifically, 3 temples are to be established, one each in Mayapur, Vrindavan, and Jagannath Puri. Although Srila Prabhupada intended the GBC to oversee the activities of ISKCON, he was not creating a monolithic structure. He wrote to Karandhara, a GBC member. Hare Krishna.
Very
Each
nice.
temple.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Please join regularly and keep reading. Very nice. Muthumanika Prabhuji, you can continue this page. We'll stop with this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Madam. Thank you, Madam. Each temple must remain independent and self-sufficient. That was my plan from the very beginning. When there is a bureaucracy, the whole thing will be spoiled. There must always be individual striving and work and responsibility, competitive spirit. Not that one shall dominate and distribute benefits to the others. and they do nothing but beg from you and you provide. No, never mind. There may be botherations to register each center. Take tax certificate each. Become separate corporation in each state. That will train men how to do these things and they shall develop reliability and responsibility. Calcutta, August 1970. For the first time in almost 3 years, Prabhupada returned to India to Calcutta, his hometown. Although it was late and the journey had been long, Prabhupada felt happy as he descended the stairway from the aeroplane. Achyutananda and Jayapadaha, his only American disciple in India, were standing on the airfield, and as they saw him approaching in his saffron silk robe, they bowed down. Prabhupada smiled and embraced them. Calcutta was in political turmoil. A group of communist terrorists, the Naxalites, had been rioting, murdering prominent businessmen, and threatening the lives of many others. Many wealthy Marwari industrialists were leaving the city for Delhi and Bombay. Aside from the terrorists, Bengali college students were growing unruly. But the older people of West Bengal, comprising most of the Prabhupada's visitors, were alarmed by the violence and unrest. The only shelter Prabhupada told them was Krishna. People are in very much fed-up condition. All of them are expecting me to do something for ameliorating the situation, but I am simply advising them to chant Hare Krishna because the transcendental sound is the only panaceas for all the material disease. Prabhupada saw no need to fabricate the special program for the social problems of Calcutta. Chanting Hare Krishna was the only panaceas for all material diseases. The question was how best to use his American disciples to give this panacea to the Indians. Prabhupada had come with a part of the party of 10 devotees and he had asked its leaders in the West for 20 more within the month. He had ordered 60,000 worth of books and magazines from Dai Nippon Printing Company in Japan, and his sannyasis were going daily into the streets to perform kirtana. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hari Bol. Thank you so much. Great, very nice. So we will stop with this today. We will continue it again not tomorrow, Sunday, because tomorrow we have our weekly satsang on Saturdays. So on Sunday we will again continue with our class and we will start from here. All right. So Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. We will again reconvene on Sunday. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंतकोटि वैष्णव की जय जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय. Thank you everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Thank you.